Hello everyone, and welcome to another interesting game from round 10 of the 2018 Candidates Tournament, this time between Shahriar Mamedyarov and Fabiano Caruana. And I know you all enjoyed that game, Kramnik versus Aronian, and it's not like every game can be like that. That's like very rare to see, but for some reason, when Kramnik plays in the Candidates, you can see it every game. And here, this game had its opportunities of also becoming a really violent and crazy game, but you'll just have to see what happens. And I didn't get to show any photos in the Kramnik Aronian game, so here I do have one. Here is Aronian pondering over the position, and Kramnik blurry on the left. Probably going all pirate on Nikki for disturbing his brilliant thought process. But here we have from this game Mamedyarov on the left, Fabiano on the right, and if anyone knows the name of the person making the first move for Mamedyarov, do share in the comments. Here we have another photo of Mamedyarov, a nice close-up, and here we have a nice close-up of Fabiano. So now I think we're all set. Let's see the game. So this is basically a clash of leaders. Fabiano only half a point in front of Mamedyarov, and if Mamedyarov can win this game, it would be a tremendous opportunity for him to maybe even win the candidates. Who knows? And if Fabiano wins this game, then I mean, he would be a whole point and a half in front of everyone else, so he could actually afford to even lose a game and still win the candidates. That would be insane. So d4 by Mamedyarov, we have knight to f6, c4 and e6. Knight to f3, the anti-Nimzo variation. Now d5, we transpose again into the queen's gambit declined, and now g3. D captures on c4, bishop to g2, so the Catalan opening, knight to c6, and we have castles. Rook to b8, e3, and bishop to e7. And it was in this position that usually a6 is played, but here Fabiano spent some 6.5 minutes for bishop to e7. So obviously, I mean, bishop to e7 is definitely a home preparation move. You don't do a move like this over the board, but it seems Fabiano, like Botvinnik, likes to spend some time, you know, really making sure that it's the correct move, even though he prepared it at home. Here we have knight f to d2. Some 7 minutes were spent by this by Mamedyarov, so he definitely wasn't expecting bishop to e7. And here e5. So this move was played like maybe in 20 seconds, so you can see that bishop to e7 is a prepared variation. Fabiano was just checking it. Bishop captures on c6. We have b captures on c6, tripling black pawns, and now d captures on e5. Knight to g4. Knight captures on c4, and here bishop to e6. Again, a prepared move, as of course you'd expect queen captures on d1. And here knight b to d2. It took Mamedyarov some I think some 10 minutes to find this move, and here we have h5, also a prepared move by Fabiano. So I think all of this was found over the board, and here Mamedyarov does have to do something about this knight. In the game, f3 was played, but it's interesting what happens if h3 is played. If h3 is played, then black does have this option of playing queen to d3, and after pawn captures knight, pawn captures on g4, and here black has this very interesting threat of queen to h7 followed by queen to h1 checkmate. Here white would have to block this with e4, but then black would simply win back the piece. Bishop captures on c4, knight captures, and now queen captures on e4, threatening again checkmate on h1, and there's really no good way to block this. f3, now bishop to c5 check, you have to block with rook, but now again queen to h7, threatening queen to h1 checkmate, and after you try to escape, this all leads to annihilation. King d2, bishop captures on f2, and it's all over. Captures, captures. There is nothing for white to hope for here, as there is also a very strong pass pawn on f3. So after this h5 move, Shak doesn't go for h3, he actually goes for f3. Here, queen to d3 again, and it's not a piece sacrifice. Yes, Mamedyarov does play f captures on g3, but now you don't really have the same option of capturing with this, as queen to h7 doesn't really threaten queen to h1, as there's a pawn now on h2. and you don't really gain anything by playing bishop captures, attacking the queen, as after queen to a4, you simply move the queen, threaten queen captures on c6 with check to remaneuver the queen, and after h4, queen captures with check, king moves, now comes rook to f4. And after, for example, h captures on g3, you capture the bishop, pawn captures on h2 with check, king to h1, and the king is actually perfectly safe on h1. There is no continuation here for black. The knight is covering the f1 square nicely. So after this, f captures on g4. F captures on g4. Fabiano played bishop captures on c4, grabbing back the piece. We have knight captures, queen captures on c4, and g captures on h5, simply winning back that pawn. And here it took Fabiano a long time to figure out what to do here. G captures on h5 is the best move. You'd think maybe rook to f4 seems like an improvement in the position. Why not simply gain a tempo on the queen, kick it off of this active square, and only then capture? Well, because after queen to e6, the e6 square is much more active square for the queen, and the rook was actually pretty useful on f1. Now g captures on h5, queen captures on e5, queen to c2, you simply capture on h5. Again, you have a pretty strong grip on the position. You already cleared all of the pawns white had, and it's not that white is worse here or anything, maybe just giving black too much. So after this, queen captures on c4 and g captures on h5, Fabiano played queen to e6, and it took him some 23 minutes to decide on this move. You could go rook to b5 immediately with the idea of capturing here and capturing here, doubling rooks on the h-file, but then white has this annoying b3 move, kicking away your queen, and after your queen moves, for example, attacking the rook on a1, now queen to d4, forcing you to trade queens, and after captures, rook captures on h5, it's again a better position for white. The pawn structure is better, it's a clean pawn up. So after this, queen to e6, which took Fabiano 23 minutes, it took Mamedyarov 33 minutes for his next move, and he plays queen to f3. Again, there were some ideas possible here. For example, you could try and simply develop with b3, queen captures on e5, now rook to b1, queen captures on h5, and after queen to c2, your position is again okay, as white is even better here, but again, you kind of don't want to give up these 2 pawns too quickly, so black can set up the pieces however he wants to. So queen to f3. Here Mamedyarov is preparing queen to f5. He wants to trade queens, as if anything, he's running into Fabiano's preparation. It's not the other way around. So rook to b5 and queen to f5, now offering a trade of queens. Rook captures on e5, queen captures, rook captures, and rook to f5. And here it took Fabiano 12 minutes, and after 12 minutes he decided to go for rook to d6. And I caught a glimpse of the live coverage here by Gustafsson and Svidler, and there was a crazy engine line here that they discussed that was actually rook to f6. And rook to f6 is an interesting move, because why do you allow rook to a5? If rook to a5 going for the pawn here, what's your rook actually doing on f6? But that's the idea. Now rook to d6 is a lot stronger than rook to d6 immediately, like Fabiano played. Now if you capture on a7, you get rook captures on h5, and here it's a very double-edged position, but black definitely has the upper hand, as he's a lot more active, and here you would have to actually play b4. But you would only see that if you actually decided to develop with b3. Now you get rook to d1, this is with check, king moves, and now rook to c5. Because of this rook to c5, you had to play b4 and give up this b4 pawn to the bishop, because now after you move the bishop, try and exchange rooks, now you get rook to d2 check, and you simply lose the piece here. So a lot of interesting things possible after rook to f6, but okay, Fabi goes for rook to d6, and now we have king to g2. Again, you can't really develop, and the rook is very useful on d6. He's not allowing the bishop to develop to d2. It's really hard for white to develop, and it's really interesting how Mamedyarov pulls it off. Here rook to d1, and now we have b3. g6 now. It's interesting, bishop to a3 does seem like a crushing move, but it actually gives nothing after rook to f1. You simply have to exchange all the pieces, rook captures, king captures, and after this, it's again white who's better, because black's pawn structure is somewhat corrupted here by the double C pawns. But okay, after b3, g6, and now we have rook to e5. c5 now, pawn captures, and now e4. Rook to h7, here Fabiano goes for rook to f7, followed by rook to f1. We have h4 now, and h4 is the move that was needed to get out of this mess. Rook to f7, now comes king to h3. You still can't move this bishop anywhere or play something like bishop here. Otherwise you get rook check and then you lose the bishop. So first king to h3, not allowing any checks. Now comes rook f7 to f1, now threatening to win the bishop, and now bishop to g5. This was the idea. Now you get rook captures on a1 and rook captures on e7. Here Mamedyarov sacrifices the exchange, but he will win a lot of pawns for it. So king to f8, now rook captures on c7, rook captures on a2, and now bishop to e7 check. King to g8, now first rook to f8, rook to c8 check. King to g8, of course you can go to f7, then rook here wins the rook on f1. So bishop captures on c5, rook to e2, and now e5. With the idea, of course, if you capture, simply bishop pins the rook. So after this e5 move, rook to d1. We have rook to e8, defending the pawn, as now there is no longer the possibility of pinning the rook, as the rook is on d1. Rook to d5, and now bishop to d6. An interesting move, simply because the rook captures doesn't really win the game. White won't recapture immediately. First rook to e7 check, and then after the king moves, then e captures, and then white is actually 2 pawns up, winning this game. So after bishop d6, rook to e3, we have rook e7 check, king g8, rook e8 check, king f7, rook e7 check, repeating a couple of moves to reach move 40, king to g8, and now b4. This is move 40, so Mamedyarov is still interesting, maybe to even win this game. It's, you know, why not? He is down the exchange, but he is up 2 pawns. And with this bishop protecting these pawns so nicely, it's very unlikely for Fabiano to be able to do anything with his rooks. Rook d to d3, now attacking the g3 pawn. We have king to g4, rook captures, king f4, rook to f3 check, king to e4, rook to e3 check, king to f4, rook again here, king to g5, and now rook to f7. And here we have e6. Rook to d5 check, king captures on g6, and now rook captures on d6, of course. Now pawn captures on f7 is impossible, the pawn is pinned. Rook captures on f7, and now rook captures on e6. Rook to f6, and now rook to f4. Of course, you don't want to exchange rook here, then white would be winning. So rook to e4, simply with an attack on the h4 pawn as well as the b4 pawn. b5, rook captures, rook to a6, and now rook to h7. b6 now, and rook to g7 check. It would be an excellent mistake for Fabiano to blunder here with pawn captures pawn, because then rook to a8 would be checkmate, unfortunately. So after b6, rook to g7 check, king moves, now a couple of more checks. Pawn captures on b6, and after rook captures, here it was check, rook to f6 blocking, and only the naked kings are on the board. Of course, this is now a draw. So a decent game. You know, the game could have taken any wrong turn, and the game would simply explode into a complete mess. Especially if one of these players was Vladimir Kramnik. But you know, an excellent game by 2 leaders of the tournament, and you know, better to draw the game than to allow one or another to take complete control of the tournament. Now everything is still open, so even Mamedyarov still does have excellent chances of winning the candidates. So this was round 10, and before I forget, I did prepare the standings after this round 10. So here we have Caruana still in first place with 6.5 points out of 10, Mamedyarov in second with 6, then Grishchuk with 5.5, so he's definitely still in the game of winning the candidates. Karyakin with 5, Dingliren then won 5, Kramnik with 4.5 with today's win over Aronyan, then So, and then Aronyan alone in last place. This is truly as standings. No one, when the tournament started, no one thought that this could actually be what the standings looked like after round 10, but it is how it is. And it's interesting, I'm definitely interested in Kramnik's game against Caruana. He will have the black pieces against Fabiano, and if he continues playing like this, maybe he can still do some real damage in this tournament. If he beats Fabiano with the black pieces, then he goes up to 5.5. Fabiano stays on 6.5, and then really anything is possible, and then probably anyone could win this tournament. But that's just the joy of enjoying the candidates. We'll just have to wait and see. So yeah, that's it. I do hope you enjoyed it. It was an excellent game. Like I said, feel free to comment anything if you've seen the live coverage. I do appreciate anything, as I do want to show you this game, but I also want to learn something. So feel free to do so. And if you know who the gentleman was that made the first move for Mamedyarov, also do share. And once again, I would like to thank Nikki for her photos from the candidates. As usual, if you're interested in photography, especially in chess photography, all of the links to her social media will be in the description below, so feel free to follow her work. And yeah, that's it. Thank you all for watching. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. And I will see you soon. Thank you all.